Welcome back to the IE427 garage, everybody. We have Michael's car up on the left. It's back from the upholsterer. There's a few things that we're going to have to fix that the upholsterer was told to do a certain way and didn't. We're going to take care of those. We're going to take care of all the other things that we needed to take care of before this thing goes back over to Miller's to have the finished body put back on the chassis. All right, first things we're going to start with are the top of the tunnel. This is just a personal preference. I don't like carpeting the top of the transmission tunnel. Again, this is not my car. Michael chose to carpet the top. I hope he isn't sorry in the long run for the rug burn that he's going to get on his elbow. However, it's covered in carpet. The upholsterer took it upon himself to slice a big old slot in our rubber boot. So now I have to figure out a way to seal this off from the weather, because I don't want to just rely on the vinyl or the leather of the boot to keep the road debris and moisture out of the inside of the car. The tunnel's really not fastened on here. It's kind of loose, I guess. I don't know. It looks awfully high. So I don't know what the deal is there. It was supposed to be a lot lower, but you can see the gap here. Like, here is my panel, and that's the aluminum underneath. So this is what happens when you add padding and carpeting and everything else and don't account for it, and just cover things willy-nilly. So it's up to me to deal with it, so I will deal with it. The other thing that he did after he was told not to was to wrap the carpeting around the top. We generally don't do that. We cut the top of the carpeting off flush with the top. That enables the body to come down and sit really nice and tight on top of that aluminum panel. This portion does not get bulb seal. Bulb seal only goes from this corner out to the door and from this point to the back of the car. So we'll take care of that. What I'm going to start on here today is getting the speakers installed. I need to, now that this panel is in here, I need to trim it down a little. Adding the carpet on both sides, it has a little bow to it, and so I'm just going to probably cut off an 1/8 inch off each side, so a total of 1/4. So that panel fits a little bit better. And then I'm going to just start working my way forward on the car. So I'm going to button up all of the suspension stuff in the back of the car. Probably move into the transmission tunnel, pull this cover off, and see what I can do. What I can do to get that panel to sit nicer on the top. I don't know if I have much choice. By the time I screw everything down, that thing's going to have a valley in the center of it, and the cup holders aren't going to sit right. So I don't know. This is not my doing. I'm just the poor guy that has to fix it and make it all work. So move on to that. I've got to get the seat heater switches hooked up, because right now the switches are in, but they're not hooked up. And then strap up any straggling wires in there. Then we're going to move on to the foot boxes. The foot boxes need to be finished up, so a little sealant and some pop rivets, and those can be put all back in place. I have a brace. Where did I put that thing? Here it is. I have this brace that I've made to go here, just to reinforce where we cut out for the brake booster. So that'll get installed. We're going to move on to the front. We're going to check the alignment. I'll throw the alignment tool on there to make sure that we're within the spec that we want to be. And then after that, I think it's going to kind of be a waiting game. Michael has brand new seatbelts for this upstairs. but they're blue. And I don't know that blue is going to go really well with the rest of the interior of the car. You can see the seats are kind of a tan or a cream color, and then everything else in there is black. So blue seatbelts are going to stick out like a sore thumb. So Michael ordered new seatbelts. I think he ordered the same seatbelts, or the 5-point harness, but in black, which I think will look a lot better. But with all the supply chain issues that we're going through right now, I don't know. We had some fittings that we had to order 4 times for the 25th anniversary car. And between the time we ordered them and the time they shipped, they would be, you know, they would mysteriously end up out of stock. So I don't know what the deal is with the seatbelts. I don't know if they were in stock or whether they have to be made or whatever. Michael told me 10 days. I'm going to hold him to that, but that's about all we have. I also got a message from him that he wants to go-kart the car before we take it to have the body put on. So it'd be nice to have seatbelts in for him to go-kart the car as well. So we're going to dive in. I'm going to start here at the back of the car. I'm going to try to get these speakers installed. I do have holes already made in the panels, so they should go in really easy. The back panel has holes in it. It's just going to get some finish screws with finish washers. So it's going to look nice and tidy when we're all done back there. And we should be able to get that all taken care of today. And then hopefully tomorrow we'll move on to the rear suspension and make sure everything is bolted, tightened, checked, and ready to go in the back for the suspension. And then we'll just slowly move our way forward. So I'm just going to try to chip away at it a little bit each night and get it all squared away. But in the meantime, hang with us. All right, later in the day, I just want to say what a giant piece of garbage these Alpine speakers are. The grills just don't want to go on. And the aluminum's flat. The fat mat behind the aluminum is flat. The carpet is flat. So I don't know why they don't want to go in. Now I'm hoping that I can replace these screws right here with something with a smaller head, because if you look down here, the screw head, if it's just big enough, won't allow this thin mesh metal to engage in its little catch. There's 1, 2, 3. There's 3 catches on each side, so a total of 6. And they have to go in these little slots. And because those screws, and those are the screws that came with the speakers, because those screws are just grazing the inside of that channel, I think that's the reason the grills don't want to go into the plastic. But I'm just guessing, because they're a nightmare just to put in when the speaker surround is loose. They're a pain to get in. So I guess tomorrow morning I'm going to be on a quest for sheet metal screws with a smaller head. I don't care what color they are. They're going to be hidden behind the grill. So if they're silver, they're silver. If they're gold, whatever. So that's my goal for tomorrow, to get some hardware for that. I have the back trimmed down, so it's fitting in there a lot nicer than it did. It still has a little bit of bow in the center, but I ought to be able to suck that in with the screws. I've got, I don't know, a dozen screws to go around the whole outside of that thing to hold it in. And so then that'll be done. And once that's done, I'll stop working on the clean stuff for a little while and jump underneath the car and start working on the rear suspension. I just want to double check that everything I did in the back is tight. Remember, we had this whole rear end out. We put a new rebuilt rear end in, new brakes. I just want to make sure everything's tight in there. So I'm going to go over all that. And then if I can get all that done, then I'm going to move forward to the tunnel. And then we'll see how that goes. I can already see that this color that Michael picked for the interior is going to be tough, because I haven't moved the car, I haven't anything, and you can already see that it's dirty there. And where else does I see it? It looks like somebody kept putting their hands in the same spot over at the upholstery shop, because it's all dirty right here too. So it's going to be a tough one to maintain, Michael. We'll see. So I will catch up with you guys tomorrow. I'm going in for the night. It's about, it's dinner time. So I'll see you guys tomorrow, and hopefully we'll get the speaker grills straightened away, get the rear end taken care of, and be moving on to the tunnel. All right, so this is what I came up with on screws this morning. I went down to the local home center. These are the screws that came out of it. You can see they're like a round panhead screw, Phillips. Number 8 coarse thread. And I found these, which are a deck screw. But they're made for that composite decking. So when you put these in, it kind of self-countersinks. And then the plastic, as it goes in there, kind of melts around the screw hole. So you can see these are quite a bit smaller. I'm going to try these. So there's the difference in size between the two screw heads. There you go. So quite a bit smaller. I'm going to run these in, see if I can get those speaker grills on. If I can't get them on, I can't waste any more time on this. I spent the entire afternoon and into the evening farting around with those damn speaker grills, and they are just garbage. So if I can't just change these screws out and get those speaker grills to fit in there, I'm done. So there you go. Wish me luck. I don't know what to say. I've been at this another hour, and I've got the speaker grills on. They're on. They're not secure. They still move, but they're on. And I can only imagine what is going to happen when I go to put the seat belts in, the roll bar in, and if they should come loose then, because then everything's in the way. The roll bar and the seat belts will all be in the way. So they're in, and I'm going to leave well enough alone. This is just a piss poor design, and whoever designed this thing should be shot. It's so much easier with a higher quality product, where the grill's already attached and the screws go through the entire housing. This is ridiculous. So whatever. Again, there's a reason that when asked, I pick certain products, one, that I've had experience with, and two, that are good quality products. This is not a quality product. It's trash. It's just garbage. So I'm moving on to the next thing. Rant. I'm done with this rant. I want to move on to something that I can just get done. But the way my day is going so far, good luck with that. I'm going to jump underneath the car. I'm going to start going through all of the rear suspension just to make sure everything's tight. And then I get to deal with this whole freaking nightmare that someone left for me. I still don't know what I'm going to do about this 1/4-inch gap that is between the hardboard top that I made and the aluminum panel underneath. You can see as I push down on this thing how much it moves. So when I screw this down and into the aluminum, there's going to be a big old valley in this thing, and this is not my doing. Again, whatever. I mean, I have that to look forward to. So yeah, I'm just going to keep moving forward. All right, I'm closing up the back panel of the speaker box right now. I've got it held in with Clecos. You can see I've already got a couple of the screws in. I buy the screws and the washers in bulk. So the washers usually come in a box right here, and the screws come separately. They're a lot cheaper this way. You can get them at the home center, and I think 5 packs with the washers already attached, but they're about 3 times the cost. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to get every alternating slot or hole filled with a screw, and then I'll start pulling the Clecos out one at a time. We've got it nice and flush now, and then I'll bring you guys back and show you what it looks like all done. Alrighty, here it is all done. You can see with no light on the subject, you can't even hardly see the screws. But if I turn the light on, now you can see each one of those screws in there. So the black screws or the black washers really help to hide everything. So that's it for now. We're going to dive underneath the car and take care of the last few issues in the back underneath. Just getting a look at the side pipes. I don't know if this shows up on camera real well, but these were perfect. We had just gotten these back from the powder coater, and now they're all scratched up. Let me go around to the other side. And they're lower too. It almost looks like someone was resting their weight on them. Now I didn't have them super tight at the 4 bolts up there, and there are no gaskets on them, but you can see they're like hanging down in the back. So I don't know if you can see all the scratches here and all the scratches here. That's a shame. The scratches here. It wouldn't have happened in my shop. All right, so I've gone through, I've checked all the bolts and nuts for all the coilovers. We will check the bolts on the calipers when we take the wheels off. We have checked the pinion angle and set that, and then we've tightened up all the hardware for the upper link. The pannered bar bolt stop nut is tight on both sides. There may be some adjustments we have to do with that once the body goes on for the final time, but for now everything's good. The rear end is greased, so all of the fittings, all of the grease fittings have been greased. That's ready to go. We went ahead, we checked all of the hardware for the transmission mount, the drive shaft, and all of the other bolts and nuts that are in the back of the car. So we're just going to start working our way forward. I did notice that the upholsterer did connect the switch, even though he was asked not to. So I'm going to be pulling off the top of the tunnel anyways, because I got to figure out how the hell I'm going to take care of that 1/2 inch gap that we now have. So there's that. And then I think what I'm going to work on next is putting the sides on the foot boxes. So I'm going to work on getting that side on. I'm going to work on getting the passenger side on. And then probably the top of the driver's side. So I got to get this panel in place as well. So we'll work on those next. Well, I think it's just going to be one of those days, guys and girls. So I figured I'll just start working on the footbox panels and getting them put together. And then I saw this. I thought to myself, why is there paint all over the panels that I spent so much time cleaning? So I pulled the side of the footbox off, and I can see paint right here that wasn't applied very well. But little tip for you guys, and I may address this in one of the videos that we do when we do the carpeting on the 25th anniversary car. I just leave this carpet long. So I would have left the carpet all the way to the edge, and then I would have slid this panel behind it. And that way, you don't have to come in here and put paint on there. The worst part is that someone in their infinite wisdom decided that they should paint the top of the footbox as well, and did a really piss poor job doing it. Got flat black paint on my freshly coated powder coated panels over here. So that's going to have to be cleaned off. I mean, and then just did a terrible job painting it. So I'm just beyond words right now. It's like, if you don't know what you're doing with a paint can, don't paint. Pretty simple, right? If you're an upholsterer, stick to upholstery. If you're a car builder, obviously build cars. But this is just so frustrating. And you know, after all this crap I went through getting these speaker grills in this morning and last evening, I just didn't need this aggravation right now. I thought this would be a nice, easy thing to do. So, pressing on. All right, this is why we choose to put on the side pipes during the build with just regular bolts and nuts, because it took less than like 5 minutes to take the side pipe off and give full access to the panel. So now the panel's all in place. I've got a little bit of silicone that I got to squeeze out. I'll get that cleaned up with some acetone or some lacquer thinner, and this will all be ready to go. The last thing I'll do before I put the side pipe back on this side is I'm gonna tape off around the aluminum here, and I'm gonna fill this gap with some 100% silicone to keep any moisture or any air from infiltrating into the footbox. I'll do the same thing up here at this little gap here. And that, along with our little pool noodle trick later, will keep most of the air from making its way into the cockpit. All right, everybody. It took the entire weekend to turn this around and start going forward again. You saw on the other side, I've got the panel on. I've just got a little bit of cleanup, and then that side pipe can go on. I got started on this side, and put this over here. I've got the side panel in place, and the reason that I've got Clecos holding the top in is I want that silicone to dry, because unlike the Mark IVs that have a single panel on this whole side, there's two panels on a Mark III. Depending on the Mark III, they changed some of the aluminum on the Mark III to the 3.1, and the early Mark IIIs to the the mid-generation Mark IIIs. So, if you're working on a Mark III, there's a number of different panel configurations. But I wanted to get the bottom piece in because I wanted to get our frame support in. I wanted to sandwich the panel behind our frame support. And remember, this is just because we've got the brake booster here, and we had to cut the frame here and here. And so even though this portion of the frame doesn't do a whole lot, for the time it takes to put in the frame support, to me, it's just worth it. So that's all in place. I have a notch that I cut into the upper panel. That's the one you saw me pulling away when I first walked up to the car. So I've got this notched, and then this panel will probably go in place tomorrow night. And then we'll also put the panel on this side of the top on as well. We've got an access panel. I don't foresee needing to get into the footbox anymore, so it'll just be a matter of tidying up some of the wires. Like I have some wires right here I want to tidy up before I put that panel on. I believe we've already got the Belleville washers in place for the steering shaft. And so now all I'm going to have to do as far as the steering shaft is, upholsterer strikes again. This got bumped out of place, so I'm going to get it back where I want it. I'm going to get the set screw just a little bit tighter for the Russ Thompson turn signal switch. And then we should be able to get the steering wheel pretty much where it's going to be. The only thing I'm not going to do for the steering wheel right now is I'm not going to put the center bolt in until after paint, because it's nice being able to pull the steering wheel out. We're going to have the seats that we're going to not permanently mount until after the body comes back from Miller's, because trying to lift the body and trying to negotiate around high back seats is one thing, and then the steering wheel is another. So having those removable is just so much easier. So we're going to do that. I haven't checked to see how long the video is. So depending on how long the video is, I may just close the video out here and then get back with you guys in the next video for the footbox top, the transmission tunnel, and who knows, that might be it. The way some of this other stuff has gone the last couple days, I no guarantees. So I'll catch up with you whenever that is. All right, I started recording the outro to this video 2 days ago. And in the midst of trying to end the video on a win, I turned the key on the car. I attached my phone to the Bluetooth to the amplifier here in Michael's car. And no sooner did I do that, and a phone call came through my phone. So of course that came through the speakers of the car, and it was just like, yeah, I'm not going to fight this anymore. So I stepped away from the car, like I've told you guys to do in the past, because my level of frustration was just at its limit. So I'm going to try this again. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to turn the key on. I'm going to attach my phone to the Bluetooth, and hopefully a call doesn't come through while I do that. And we're going to end this video on a win, if it kills us. All right, with that, I think that is it. As always, thanks for watching. If you enjoy the content, please do the like, the share, the subscribe, and we will see you guys all next time. Have a great day.